Hello there, my name is Dustin Dubuque with the Vulgar Display of Podcast. Thrilled to be here as I am whenever I get asked to do the extreme metal shows that are on this channel, so I appreciate that. I'm here with John McEntee, which I'm pretty sure I said that right. I didn't even ask off microphone if I'm going to say the last name right or not.
McEntee.
McEntee, dang it. Blame when we were off mic, it was asking where I was from, and just blame the Midwest in me that I have to read people exactly how I think it's said with absolutely no ability around it. That's a Midwest thing right there. When you read something, you have to read it exactly how you think it's supposed to be said, or else it's just not right. But John is with Incantation, by the way. I kind of buried that since I messed up the name. So how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I said it again off mic really quick that I've seen Incantation live a couple times. I think you guys started in like 1989 or something, which is when I was born. So that's not to date you, John, but that's where we're at.
So when you seen us live, when did you see us live?
Gosh, it was a few years ago. I'm trying to think of, I know in the car right here, I said how busy I was today, and I'm trying to think of what tour I saw you guys on, but you were supporting someone, and I don't necessarily remember who.
Was it Nile?
That was the one I went to in my head, but I on this channel we just promoted my show that's coming up soon, probably after this is recorded, and Dallas Toller Wade's side project, Narcotic Wastelands, on that. So I kept trying to tell myself, am I just thinking of it because it's on my brain that he's in my show, or is that who they were actually with? So yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, because I think actually, we played there with two times in the last 6-7 years. We played there only twice. I think the one was Nile, and one was the Contamination tour with Dying Fetus and Gate Creeper and Genocide Pact tour.
Yes, that was a show I missed, which is too bad because that's a really good lineup. So yes, then it's definitely with Nile that I saw you on. Yes.
Oh wait, there was one more time. I remember it was maybe with Morbid Angel and Watain. We played, I think, the same place.
Yes, that's the one I saw you on. Now we've figured it out. We have cracked the code. That was the one right there. Thank you very much.
Yes.
How do you even remember it after all these years, like of touring with everyone? How is it metalheads are so good at remembering who they toured with and how? How is that a thing?
Well, touring is an interesting thing because you get you're around these people so long, and it's like you get this family thing going on but it's like a short-term family thing, and it's either like you get along and it's freaking great, or you fucking hate these motherfuckers with every ounce of your body, and you're just waiting to get through with this, or get these people out of here. So, either way, it's something that is, really memorable, the connections you have. I mean, because it's actually really difficult to deal with sometimes because, say, last U.S. tour we did was with Goat Whore, and we had such a good time with Goat Whore. They were great guys. The shows were great. Everything was really it was just a lot of fun to do. And it's like we felt like brothers to them on tour, it just was great. And then the tour's over with, and all of a sudden, you go from seeing these people every day and to you don't see them at all now, it's for lack of a better term, it's like a mind fuck, is because you're just, it's like almost like a whirlwind relationship you have for a month or a month and a half or whatever the tour is and stuff. And even just the crew, I mean, you get used to all the crew are like family member too and everything. So it's sad when the tour is over, even though you're happy to get home and get, and move on with stuff. You still miss these people, so it's a really difficult thing to get used to, because you make lifetime friendships with people a lot of times on these tours, but then you don't see them for like years sometimes. Then you'll finally see him again, and it's like, is it going to be weird or is it going to be cool? I mean, who knows, because it's almost like, on the tour, it's like a Stockholm syndrome or something. Like everybody just kind of works together as a team or something. It's an interesting dynamic.
I always ask people on here, like, and you kind of went into my segue of like, tours versus fests, but it always seems like that's always the funnest part about, like, even as fans, I see it as at festivals, is that it feels like that's when all the bands finally see each other, at least for one day.
Yeah, it's a reunion kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's overwhelming because, with us doing it for a ridiculously long time we have, it's like we know so many people. So it's like we'll go to a festival, I'll see one person that I haven't seen in like 30 years or something. And then other ones I'll see people I haven't seen in like 3 or 4 years or whatever, and then ones that could be bands that we just toured with, we'll see. So it's like a total whirlwind of, conversation and meeting and just, like we played, last year we did a European tour with Wolves in the Throne Room.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Stygia and Bow, which is basically Bell Witch, and us, and we went to Desert Fest, and it was the first time I see Nicky Anderson from Entombed. First time I seen him in 30 years or whatever, and we used to be like pen pals in the early days of our band. And last time I seen him was like, we toured with them back in 92, I think it was. So it was like insane to see him again. But it was just so funny because, even though our paths have been totally different, he's been doing the Helicopters, he does Lucifer now. It was like we were able to get right back into being kids again, like just talking about, stuff that, two young metalheads in the early 90s would be chatting about stuff, which was a really great experience, and it's crazy to be able to have these connections, especially with like people you haven't seen for so long. But there's like all of us old underground dudes from that time period, like our Cape Tradings and all that kind of people, there's always going to be some sort of like connection because we were part of something that was just very special that isn't a part of the scene now. It's things just changed. So, but we have this, it's almost like a, I don't know, some kind of club or whatever that we're in. So we end up just chatting forever. It's like same thing. You see people like Luke LeMay or something from Gorguts. It's just like, there's just that old school connection that you have. And it's a really fun thing to, hang out and see these people at fest that you haven't seen forever, but of course it's good to see everybody, and you make new friends too. I mean, because it was hang out backstage, and I don't know, like Creator will be hanging out or Sodom or something, and you just end up just like hanging out, just having a beer or something and just BSing, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, only speaking of that before we get into the fact that Chuck, I think you said your bassist is joining us too to talk new album stuff. Is it interesting to like, how is that? Like you said, you're meeting all the folks you've known for a long time. How is it being like the band that's been around a while, and then you're jumped on the show with 2 or 3 of the new upcoming bands, and like, how does it feel to be the veteran of the group sometimes?
I'm cool with it. I mean, I think it's great that there's a younger generation of death metal bands that are making their mark and stuff now. It's something we never would have expected. So it's definitely super, super badass. It's like, I got to remind myself, when you play with some of these newer bands that this is their first time around on everything, and there's a different, sometimes a different way of looking at things because, I've been through all the highs and lows and all this stuff, numerous times, and it's like some of the younger, generation are just super excited because, things are going good and, they have an energy and a whole vibe going and, whatever. So sometimes it gets a little like, it's cool, but sometimes it's a little awkward, we'll say, even because like I know use my own example. When we first started to get a lot of popularity, we let our egos get the best of us, and it kind of fucked us up because we went from being nobody and nowhere to being a super cool underground band that was had a good buzz of people very excited about and stuff like that. And you get that sometimes with some of the younger bands. They don't mean to be egotistical or anything like that, but it's just that they're excited and they're young, and it's a natural thing to like relating it to us. Like it started to get to the point where people were praising us so much that we started to believe our own hype, you know? And it's like it took all of us a while, I think, to get on track and like realize where our actual heads were at, you know, like what's reality and what's like just everyone kissing your ass kind of thing. Like I remember as a young band, we went to a show. I think it was like Cannibal Corpse, Agnostic Front, Love and Creation, and somebody else, and we got asked by Love and Creation to come on their bus to hang out and stuff. And I was just like, huh, that's really strange. But like now I looked at it like, wow, I guess the band's officially cool now. And we end up getting, asked to, be a part of like whatever parties are going on or whatever bands are coming, which it's just, if you don't have the right perspective on it, you can lose your head. So sometimes, I'm not saying you get that all the time with new bands, but it's totally understandable if you do that. And you do have to sometimes keep in mind that these bands are just really excited to be where they're at. It's a good thing that they're may have a little bit of cockiness to them, because that's exactly what we had early on, and we still do to some extent, I think. But back then, you need that cockiness to be able to, tell everybody to fuck off and that you're ready to kick some ass,
Well, it seemed to have worked so far. So it's worked out. The fact that you've had the
Yes.
longevity you've had. So, I mean, it must have worked. It must have worked.
Yes.
Well, we can segue. Chuck, how are you? Can you hear us?
I can. I've been having a terrible time trying to get the video to work. For whatever reason, it won't.
Okay.
So, hello. How are you, sir?
We are great. We're full tilt in, and we haven't talked any new album, which I think is what John said that you're here to do. So we can jump right into that.
By all means.
Great. Well, you guys have Unholy Unification coming out on August 25th, so probably pretty close to after we drop this. For Vulgar Display a podcast. Well, why don't you just kind of dive in of kind of what the new record is? Is this 11th album, if I'm correct, right?
We've heard 11, 12, and 13. So
all right. Well, at least I'm in the universe with it.
Yeah, we don't keep track of what number album it is at this point.
So Unholy Deification, or deification in general, is essentially a mortal to becoming God. And over the chapters of the album, it is every element of ritual magic of this individual, from like Divus to Deus kind of idea. So there's, as we actually just mentioned in the previous interview, that there's two ways in which you can experience the album. One of which is the actual musical flow in which it presents the way you would hear it. The other is if you have the physical media itself, you can follow the chapters in their respective orders, which the Roman numerals will then, guide you through that. The first single that came out was Concordat, the Pact, which is the first chapter of it. And that is when the individual essentially just doesn't want to live in or subsist on like belief and ethics, and wants to ascend and transcend into something more. And that's the beginning of his journey that you're going to be listening to.
Yeah, wow, that's cool. So where do you get? Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I had to do that. I did that thing where I'm trying to multitask.
It's okay.
So where do we get to kind of get to the concept of that? What's the process to even get to the point of writing and creating this album?
Well, musically, it was just every album is a answer to the last album. So we felt that with our previous album, Sect of All Divinities, that even though it was a good album and did great for us, it didn't have some of the heavier, barbaric, rougher edge to it and stuff. So kind of right off the bat, as far as myself, I wanted to write some of the songs that were, say, a little more aggressive, like Chalice and Offering were two of the songs that I kind of came up with at first. And I think it kind of helped steer the direction of the album, even though everybody was kind of on the same page where they felt like Sect was a little bit too contained and well produced, or like not just not brutal and heavy enough, we'll say. So everything just kind of fell into placement. Everyone just, once everyone started contributing on everything, it just started really building into something special, and it just had a good focus throughout it. Like everybody really wanted to throw in, like, push things further and make it more of a darker, twisted album than its predecessor, which I feel like we accomplished. And the whole process of everybody involved was just an absolute pleasure to be a part of it. I mean, everyone's input was good. Want to bring up Luke's input because, he really kicked ass with everything from the writing to just his rhythm playing to his lead playing, all just fit seamlessly into the overall concept of the album and the band. And it just, everyone's input really made the songs from something that I thought was already great to something that was extremely special and has a piece of everyone's, I don't know what you want to say, everyone's soul in it or whatever. Everyone's a part of the songs. It's not just these songs. It's like you're getting the songs, but you're also getting the people that made the songs when listening to it.
I couldn't agree more. It's that, all of us are coming into, well, I should say, like, for Luke and myself and Kyle and John have been working together for forever and a day. And I've been working with John for at least 15 years now myself. So the thing is that when having somebody that comes into the fold that knows of an established project and the material in which it's usually going to create, there's an integrity to that consistency. And what, Luke had contributed went seamless. He put the material that he felt would be a contribution, and it turned into something that we would have probably even written ourselves. It's amazing. He always, is the first one to say that he's not a soloist, that he's a riff guy. And when he adds his contributions to the harmonies and solos and the like, they complement the songs on such a different level that we never thought previous. So he's a huge asset, and really pay attention to what he did because his work on this is exceptional.
And a great dude.
And a great guy. Yeah, great friend.
So you guys, it's cool to hear you guys talk about it because it sounds like the excitement's there, which is really good. Like, that's a good feeling. So, Chuck, you've been in the band for, like you said, about 15 years. John, since the beginning. Like, so the evolution to kind of get to this point, to get to this excitement, like how has Incantation changed and evolved over the last, I don't know, decade or so to kind of get to this point where it seems like you two are very excited about this venture that's coming out?
I think that, especially over since Chuck's been with the band, things with Chuck started off very naturally. Like, we weren't really planning on writing new material, but just one day I think we were practicing for a fest or something in Colombia. I could be something else, but that's what I remember. And I just got inspired at practice after playing the set, and I just started coming up with basic riff ideas, and it just fell together great. And it's been, overall, the process has been really great, where Chuck, Kyle, and myself really, connected and stuff. And of course, it was great, jamming with Alex Brooks too for a while. Early on, was a big part of kind of making it meaningful to all of us, because the important thing about doing the band is that it has to like mean something. It has to be a reason for us to do it, a reason to want to do it. It can't just be like, well, it's time to do something. Let's just do something. We want to be inspired to do something. And we were able to inspire each other, and, taking that, through the times, it just, we had a little bit of a, a little bit of a down area around the Sect of All Divinities time. Not that the album's bad, but just band wise, we weren't 100% gelling. It wasn't until we got Luke in the band where it was like, it felt like the missing piece was there, and that everything just, was able to just, it was like, I was able to unleash everything, like all the firepower now is focused. No, there's nobody that's like on a different page wanting to do something else. They all know, what incantation is and what it's a good vehicle for and stuff. So it just works out great. And honestly, for myself, the whole time I was in the band, I wish that it was as awesome as it has been the last 5 years in the band. Not just great as far as, our popularity in the shows and stuff like that, but just in the band, it's been the most fun overall. Like the people that are in the band now are the right people to be doing all the stuff that they're doing. It just makes sense. It's such a great feeling to have that, because in the past, it might be like, Kyle and myself were jamming together, but maybe the other person in the band wasn't 100% the right person, but we were kind of trying to work with it and hoping that they will assimilate at some point, and they never do. And it gets discouraging and stuff. But now it's like everything feels very, very natural. We're not pushing anybody to do anything. It's like people want to contribute. People want to contribute quality stuff that really makes everything that we do great. It's super great. It's super exciting.
Couldn't agree more. I've watched at least like 4 or 5 members, circulate as, John and I have been playing together. And, I've had ups and downs, ebbs and flows. You never know exactly what you're going to get in your situation until the hindsight's 2020, and you're going, we could have, should have, would have, but it didn't. Now, there's absolutely an egoless machine in which we work. And when it's live, it's a joy, regardless of where we are, regardless of circumstances. You never know exactly what you're going to be dealt with that either. And, come what may, by the time we're up there, we're just having a good time doing what we enjoy, and that's all that matters. And when it comes to studio or stage, I'm just glad it's the 4 of us.
So does that help? Like, I know the album coming out on August 25th and such, but so are you guys just solely focused on like the now of like trying to get this album out and what's going to come immediately after? Or because it sounds like you guys are in such a good place as a band and stuff. Are you already looking a little farther down the future of what the plans are?
Oh, indeed. To be honest, we've already, because of the pandemic, as much as we've written in excess of material and stuff, we have other plans for the future already. So, yeah, it's, let's see where this goes. Let it breathe, give ourselves and those that are, willing to listen and the opportunity to experience it for the cycle, however long that lasts. And then the future is already prepared. So we just keep moving forward.
Yeah, there's definitely a abundance of material that's already in the works on our end musically, and there's also just a lot of inspiration to even do more stuff because just really excited to just keep writing. It's just a very natural thing for us to do. I think is to write music and stuff. We're not just writing 100% because it's time to do an album. We're writing because we like writing,
Yeah, and that's great too. So I know it's amazing, as I told John, that we keep our podcast relatively short, so we're already getting towards the end. Before we get to kind of the ending things of just what you guys have coming up, I always have to ask, so outside of Incantation, what is who is Chuck and John? So people know a little bit about you. That isn't just how I know you is these people in this band that I've listened to before.
I would say that I'm essentially 4 things. I'm horror movies, metal. I love bourbon, and all right, let's just keep it at 3. I'm a trifecta.
I mean, you have such a solid 3, Chuck. I don't know if you want to go into 4.
Oh, and I love books and history and stuff. Hence all of the researching and writing. So I'm a total book nerd.
Great.
Yeah.
For myself, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a horror movie fan, a metalhead. I really love metal and love diving deep into metal stuff, metal talks and stuff like that. But besides that, I just really like my family life. My home life is really great. I over the last 5 years moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, and it's been awesome down here. And I just, when I'm not on tour, I like to really spend a lot of time at home just enjoying my home family life. But I do like to go to shows as much as possible too, and just hang out with other like-minded metalheads. And if some cool horror stuff's going on, definitely into that stuff. I'm not a big fan of normal life, like going to the supermarket or to the mall is not my cup of tea. It's like I'd rather just be in my own little area and just focus on the things I like and try to forget that the real world exists sometimes.
I couldn't agree more. I don't even go food shopping anymore. I just have it delivered to the house, man. I am not going to that supermarket. I just can't. I can't take it.
Yeah, I'm in the same world as you are, Chuck. That's the same thing I do too. Avoid it as much as possible.
Exactly that.
So, all right, before we sign off, where can everybody keep up with all Incantation things, new album and everything? Where's everyone find you all?
Incantation.com or social media sites like Incantation Official. I think it's both on Instagram and Facebook, and we have Twitter too, which isn't quite as active. I guess it's X now. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's X. Yes. So if you want to see the Incantation porn site, you can go to check it out.
I appreciate you both for being on. This is awesome. So congratulations and keep moving forward. And hopefully I'll see you guys live again sometime. That'll be great. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you.
Definitely if you come up to one of the shows, whatever, just say what's up, remind me who you are. And, if Chuck's there, he'll share a bourbon with you. And if I'm there, I might share a bourbon with you.
Oh, I'm expecting you, Chuck. I'm in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis area. So next time you guys hit that area, I'm on my way.
Brilliant. I love it. Awesome, man.
All right. Well, thank you both.
See ya.
Take care now. Later.